Hello, good day, and welcome to my channel, or welcome to my discussion with you. This is just a platform for us to share. So it's not really, I don't like thinking about it as a channel. I just think since I can't come to your place and you can't come to my place, we should just see through this channel, through this medium or channel, right? Channel now in the terms of a passage, right? Or an avenue. Anyway, if you were given an opportunity or these set of choices, right? And you had, let me say, you had a stash of cash, right? Cartons and cartons and bags of cash. And then, or you had the opportunity to have, if heaps and heaps of food, all manner of food, just lots of crops and food and all that, right? Or you had a lot of skill sets, very valuable skill sets, very life-changing skill sets. It could be plumbing, it could be medical, it could be anything, but you had all these skill sets. Let me just leave it at these, right? These three sets of opportunities. One is you had a heap of cash, and then this other person had a heap of food, right? Or the third person had a lot of skill sets. And there was some sort of like, it was an apocalyptic situation where nothing was happening and then human beings had to survive. Which of these would you rather have? Which of these would you rather have? I'm even scratching the back of my head because I had a literal itch. Why I'm asking this is, I don't want you to have the same itch I just had. I think the answer is a little bit simple. You would probably go for having food or a set of valuable skills. I almost don't think we would rather retire to having a heap of cash. And why I say this is that cash in itself is not something you can use for anything, especially in an apocalyptic situation. In other words, when the chips are down, you would realize that cash in itself is useless. It is usually an avenue or a means to buy something. It in itself does not have any purpose. And why I'm talking about this is that sometimes when you're doing business, I know that they get to say that the customer is always right. But why is it that the customer is always right? Because they're holding the cash? Could that saying be as a result of the need to celebrate money in sort of like a deceitful way to celebrate money, as opposed to celebrating skill sets or actual resources like food resources? Why I'm saying this is the world has become too capital oriented. Capitalism is too high, becoming very toxic. And so those who have money get to think that they have all it takes. When you live in a place where people celebrate money too much, and so they don't celebrate skill sets and they don't celebrate natural resources or just resources generally, you would notice that their economy usually declines, as opposed to those who know the value of skills and resources. Another thing is sometimes when you see or when you interact with clients and then they have to pay, they tend to want to speak rudely because they feel that they're bringing money or they're giving you an opportunity to sell your product or your service. But for me, I don't know about you, but for me, I get to know that I spent years building this skill set. I spent a good amount of time selecting this set of products for sale, and I know that you need it. Now, people are usually very stingy, very tight-fisted with their money. And so whenever you see a person come to you willing or ready to exchange that money that they would rather not give anybody, but they're willing to exchange it with you, know that you have something valuable. Know that they could not eat their money. They could not use their money the money could not patch up the leaking sink in their kitchen, right? So money in itself is pretty useless. In fact, economies that I think Venezuela at a point, I don't know that they're still in that chaos. The Venezuelan currency, their legal tender was useless, pretty much useless, because there was no emphasis on protecting and building the resources that they had. Why I'm saying this is money in itself is useless. And for those of us who have skill sets, who have valuable products, you should learn to value what you have. Because the truth of the matter is that human beings are generally and typically stingy, and so they'll rather hold on to their monies. But believe you me, they would always come out to look for services and products. And then don't let this deceit get into your head that they have chosen to get it from you. They could have chosen to get it from another person. In other words, they will try to paint the picture that you have competition. In other words, there are other people that could do your services, or there are other people that have your goods. The truth of the matter is that there are other people also that have their money. There are other clients that could come patronize you too. So just the way they want to plant it in your mind that you have competition, they too have competition. Now, this is not my way of saying that you should be rude. No, I don't advocate for rudeness or lack of class or humility in service or selling the product. But just always understand that the product or the skill set is more valuable than money itself, right? Countries like China, they have skill sets, and the whole world runs to them with money. You see, other countries that don't want to build or invest in skill sets or knowledge or their own products tend to have their currencies devalued. Their currencies don't have any value in international trade platforms. So don't be deceived by this whole talk about, oh, money is king. I know they say cash is king, but that mantra will probably be false in this situation. So yes, keep on working on your skill sets, keep on working on your products. Don't get fooled into this ideology of a craze, an insatiable desire for money itself. A lot of the time among the black race, we get to show cash. Sometimes we just spread cash on the table and show off that we have the money, or we celebrate events by displaying literal cash. And it doesn't always make sense in the global market. You have to come with a competitive product, a competitive skill set, and that's when even that your cash would be valuable. Thank you.